Hey guys, welcome into my channel. Today we're going to be playing with the Pat McGrath Mothership XI, the Sunlit Seduction Palette. There have been a lot of comments out there that people are asking, do you really need this palette? Is it super repetitive? I think the answer to that question really depends on how many Pat McGrath palettes you have in your collection. Is it kind of similar? Quite possibly, but we're going to get into it, so stay tuned. So I do want to talk a little bit about the palette. We're definitely going to create two different eye looks out of it today. The only thing is with Pat, if you are familiar with her palettes, you know she doesn't have a lot of mattes in there, and usually that's what I would use to kind of create different looks. And because there's only 3 mattes in this palette, I feel like that I'm going to get a similar look, but I'm going to try and go for a very different shimmer. So let's talk about this palette a little bit. I'm going to scoot over and I'm going to throw up some of the things that they talk about. Some of these descriptions on Pat's website, they're always really crazy. So it says it has structural shaping essentials, creamy blendable textures, multi-dimensional astrals, brilliant jewel toned metallic. You can use these shadows wet or dry. It says the Mothership XI Sunlit Seduction tempts you to venture into new realms of makeup artistry with its solar infused spectrum of seductive shades and versatile finishes, from the gentle allure of floral mattes and blush toned pinks to the captivating essence of burgundy orchids. This palette caters to looks that range from casually chic to sensually subversive. Experience the gleam of metallics and sparkling astrals enriched with shimmering pearls for radiant and dimensional color. The sumptuously smooth formulas ensure easy application, transforming your eye artistry into tactile indulgence. The palette features standout shades like molten crimson ruby and sparkling platinum mauve plum, okay, for eye looks that are simply hot of this world. Hot of this world? I don't know. Embrace the sunlit hues and let your artistry radiate. Now I want to throw up the ones that are called the astral shades, and then the ones I guess that are called the blitz shades. So there's the astral pink fetish, there is the blitz crimson ecstasy, there is the astral amethyst allure, and the astral gilded aura. So there's definitely different textures of the shimmers in these palettes. I mean, you can definitely see that. There usually is in most of her palettes. This does retail for $128, which is in line with all of the palettes of this size in her line. This does have an 18-month shelf life, and these are typically made in Italy. This one is no exception. So let me tell you why I ended up getting this palette. I actually only have 2 full-size Pat McGrath palettes in my collection, and then I have one of the holiday releases. And so I brought them all out so I could kind of look at them side by side. One of the reasons that I picked this up and haven't picked up some of the other ones is because I felt some of the other ones were maybe a little bit more similar to the 2 that I already have in my collection, but I kind of feel like this one has a little bit of a different, 1 shimmer formula and 2 tones of the shimmers than what I have in my other 2 palettes. So for me, it makes sense. I think if you guys have a larger collection, I definitely think this color story, at least in the mattes department, has been done before. I think she has those in a lot of her other palettes. So here is the color story on the Sunlit Seduction. So I believe these 3 are astral shades and this one is the blitz, and these are just like the regular kind of standard shimmer formula, and the 3 mattes are here, here, and here. Now, while these create kind of a, you know, all over crease and outer corner all on their own, they're not terribly dissimilar to a lot of her other palettes, in my personal opinion. But I want to show you guys the other 2 palettes that I have so you can see why for me it made a little bit more sense to pick this up. So I have the Mothership XI, the Divine Rose, which is actually a pretty cool toned palette. Like the 2 mattes in here are on the cool tone side. There's no real pinky tones in here unless maybe you count the shimmers. I have 1 blitz shade, and then this palette actually has, I think, 3 of the astrals. Maybe I'm getting them backwards, but these are really the unique ones in her collection, and the other 3 are just kind of the standard formula. So very cool toned palette in this one, and I don't think the tones for me are repeated. So here is the Mothership XI, and then here is Sunlit Seduction. Hopefully I can like hold these up side by side. They're heavy palettes, but see how much more gray leaning this is than this one. There is a shimmer in this one, in Sunlit Seduction. That's that deep crimson shade that I feel like is really unique. And then the second one that I have is the Mothership VIII Divine Rose II. and I feel like this was in the limited edition packaging. So let me hold these up side by side. Because I don't have a large Pat McGrath collection, I felt like this was definitely a nice addition. This one definitely has some pinks in it. This one right here, I feel like is kind of a hot pink, which is unusual. And then she has this really goldy tone in there. So because I had a smaller collection, you guys, I really did feel good that like this one was the one that I wanted to get to build my collection. So we're gonna build 2 eye looks, but we're definitely gonna swatch this first. So actually let me scoot back a little bit. And this is how I do it. I always go from top, left to right, and then I do down. So I'll call out the shades as I'm swatching them because she has her little card here. And I'm so excited to kind of like swatch a couple of these shimmers in the corner here so that I know which one that I want to use to build the eye look, because these 3, I just swatched one, but these 3 on the end here, I can't decide. We're definitely going into this one, but the other one, I'm not sure which one it's gonna be. I can't decide. This one is called Skin Tense Radiance, and it's one of your more, I wanna say like boring shimmers, not super light reflecting. It's almost kind of like a everyday shimmer. It feels very similar to a matte. It doesn't have a whole lot of texture to it. This next one is a matte. It's called Nude Rose. Pretty decent swatch. This is a shade I would reach for all the time. Then the next one is Hypnotic Bronze. Really creamy, very, very nice. This is one of the exciting shimmers here. And this is one of the Astral shades. This is called Astral Pink Fetish. Here it is on my finger. Oh. Ooh, that looks so good. I do have a couple of smaller Pat McGrath quads. Not smaller, I have a couple quads. And they have some pretty unique shimmers in there that I don't have in my larger palettes that I feel like really make those quads worth it, because those quads retail for $62. They're quite expensive, but I don't think I have one that's like this. It has pink in it, but it's like got this gold shift. We might have to use that one. All right, this next one is her Blitz shade. This is the Blitz Crimson Ecstasy, which I feel like I've seen in some promo photos. I think she's definitely proud of this shade. This also looks like a duochrome. It has kind of a brownish base to it. Then this next one is called Extreme Vermilion Dusk, and it looks like a deep burgundy to me. It definitely has some brown in it though. From here to here is a pretty dark set of swatches. Definitely some dark colors in there. This next one is called Copper Dawn. That one feels very similar to this swatch right here. This is another matte. This is Sienna Mystique. I like all the mattes. The mattes are my kind of colors. The next one is Astral Amethyst Allure. So this is another Astral shade. So is the next one. I did that one lower than I would have liked to. I'm sorry. Okay, I just moved it. So that's the Astral Amethyst Allure. It's beautiful, but I so prefer this pinky one. I feel like this one is also kind of a shifty duochrome. And then the last one might be, I don't know, we might have to play with this one, is Astral Gilded Allure. There it is there. Oof. I don't know, that's so, so beautiful. There's the full color story swatched out. This one is very, very light shimmer. I almost forgot I swatched it there. This has a ton of gold reflect in it. This is a beautiful hot pink shade, especially in person with just a gold shift. We're definitely gonna play with this crimson shade, which I think is a good shimmer if you're really looking to deepen up the eye look without using the mattes. While I'm wiping this off, you guys, I did want to mention a couple of things. A lot of times I have ordered from the Pat McGrath website instead of Sephora. Actually, I think all of my palettes I have ordered from Pat McGrath's website specifically. And I have never had a box come that wasn't broken. This is the first time. Most of the time the inside of it has been like ripped on both sides, both corners, and I have taken them off. I know a lot of people store them in the boxes, but I actually store them in the drawer without the box because mine have come broken, even though I do have them in my closet. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that this was intact. I know that seems a little bit silly, but for me, I think that matters because those boxes, I feel like, are part of the aesthetic for $128. And then additionally, I have heard some people say that Pat McGrath shipping has been less than ideal. I actually got mine pretty quickly. I don't think it shipped right away, but then once it did, it got here pretty fast. I want to say it took 5 days total from the time that I ordered it. So if that helps you guys, I know that some people have said to me before that they have been displeased with the shipping and customer service with Pat. The first look that I'm gonna go in with, I'm gonna take 2 of the mattes. So I am gonna go in with this one, and I'm gonna build depth in the outer corner with this one. And then I'm gonna go into this crimson shade first. I'm just scooting in so that I don't have to zoom in, but I will speed through this portion. So here we go. Let's talk about the quality a little bit. Let's talk about my thoughts as I was applying it. The first thing that I'll note is that this shade threw a ton of pigment at me right away. If you guys saw my face, it was like, whoa, it's a lot. Like it's definitely not a light shade. It definitely comes out packing a lot of pigment. This one is okay. It's blendable. It's nice. It's just gonna be your really only deepening shade, I guess, is my point. And so if you pair it with either that one or that one, you're always going to kind of get the same look, or just a very similar look. It's not going to be really anything other than pink, right? And I guess that's what Pat goes for quite a bit. And then this shimmer over here, huge amount of tack to it. I mean, it sticks to the lid so well. There's literally no fallout on it, even though it's like on the chunkier side. So it was really, really good quality, very, very easy to work with. It's a really dark look though. I usually go for something like lighter on the lid. I think I'm gonna stay away from the deepening shade this time. In the next eye, I really hate to build 2 different pink looks because I feel like you could go kind of coppery, but I wanna play with this shimmer so badly. And I think that you guys might enjoy the look of that one. Let me swatch these 2 again. The 2 shimmers that I was up against. These 2. I mean, I just don't know. Maybe stay away from the pink and we'll go into this one over here. You know what? That's what we'll do. So because this is a more like warm toned shade, let's take this one and we're just going to use this one. It's going to go all over. It's going to go in the outer corner. And then we're going to take this shade that has more of a like a gold shift to it and stay away from the pink one all over the lid. So that is what I'll do, you guys. I will speed through this portion again. Okay, there's like a ton of fallout with that Astral Gilded Aura. I mean, obviously, it's just a lot more chunky. It just doesn't have a whole lot of tack to it. It's just a lot less tacky than this one up above it. This one up above it is just such a smoother formula. I've been referring to those as like body scrubs. Like they have chunk, but like once you rub them in, they're like skin smooth. This one has a little bit of texture to it, so it did get all over the place. It wasn't bad. I just feel like it has less of a base than the other one. If you can kind of tell, like this one definitely has some actual base pigment and this one doesn't really. It's kind of just a glitter. I mean, honestly, there is no formula in this palette that is like these ones that are basically the baked formula, which I was a little surprised to see because these are just incredibly smooth. And yeah, I have seen these in most of her palettes, but this one is coming from the Mothership XI Divine Rose. So I don't know, it's just this is a much chunkier formula. I did want to show this to you guys so you guys knew, if you didn't already know, like which holiday palette I had. Because I mentioned it, I thought it would be unfair if I didn't show it. So yeah, this one has like a ton of just regular formula shimmers, no astrals, no blitz, and very few mattes in here. So maybe the mattes in this one are more similar to the ones in this palette, but my other two larger ones, I don't feel like they're the same. I just dug my finger into that shimmer. I actually think I got a pretty decent difference between the two. You get a pretty nice like warm tone out of this one that is in Sienna Mystique. This pulls very warm tone on my skin, and I was easily able to build in the outer corner and then, you know, drag it inward. And you have a couple of really good copper tones in this palette. Like these two are very dark shimmers, and so I feel like they give you the ability to create a darker look that isn't pink. You know, even the other two shimmers, even the one that I used, and then this one, which is lighter. But I feel like this is kind of more of an inner corner highlight because it's just super on the light side. But if you're somebody who likes less chunky shimmer for work or whatever, I feel like this one would be a good one. I know I'm kind of getting into the weeds on it, but I like the fact that I feel as though I can create looks that aren't pinky out of this palette. And that might kind of be important to you guys, because a lot of times with her palettes, I grab her the same set of shades or matte shades over and over again, and then I just rotate the shimmers, but the looks end up looking very similar. So I am going now to finish up the eye look off camera. I'm probably gonna throw on some lashes because I feel like with more dramatic eye looks, I always like to throw on lashes. And then when I'm done, we'll come back and we'll spend, I don't know, maybe 2 more minutes, and I'll give you my final thoughts on this. Okay, I'll see you soon. Okay, throw on some lashes, finished up the eye look. I put the Rare Beauty New Gel Eyeliner in my waterline on the lower lash line. This one is in the shade Compassion. I threw on the Rare Beauty eyeliner on the lid, and then I just used my Sephora, their waterproof retractable liner, and I tight lined with it. And then I threw on some Ardell X Sephora lashes. That is what I used to complete the eye look. So I want to talk overall thoughts on this palette. You know, Pat McGrath has some pretty darn good quality in the mattes. They basically pack a ton of pigment right away. They basically blend themselves. I think that even this one here, this Sienna one, it's deep enough that you can build depth with it by itself. This one's a good deepening shade. You could use it for either one of these. So I feel like you can get a more warm toned brown look out of this palette, and also a really nice pinky and deep, like sultry, smoky, pinky look too. So in that way, I kind of feel like the mattes are versatile. I like the different colors of shimmers, but she never disappoints with like the metallics and the shimmers. You definitely get quite a good range in them. And I like that there's like one deeper shimmer if you're into a deeper shimmer, and then of course some bronzy tone shimmers in here. So my overall thought is I'm really enjoying this palette, no different than I really enjoy her other larger palettes that I have. I don't have a lot in my collection. I do feel like the reason that I have a smaller collection is because I feel like some of the shades are repetitive. I have tried over the years to be a little bit more selective in purchasing her new releases. So I would say, depending upon the size of the collection of Pat that you have, is whether or not you should pick this up and whether or not it would fill a space in your collection. Because I do think there is some repetitiveness to this palette in her normal line, but overall I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I think you can get more warm toned looks and more pinky burgundy looks. So that's my final on everything, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys are not current subscribers, I would love to see you subscribe. I'm out here for today, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Bye guys.